Hello. Good evening, everyone. How y'all doing? I'm going to just at least give time for the host to get on so that I'm sure that we are all in sync. And so while I wait on her, I'm going to just ask if we could just have a moment of silence, followed by the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference, just for today. My name is Sharon. I'm a recovering addict, and I'm really, really grateful to be here this evening with you, and I'm really honored that Kitty seen fit to ask me to share tonight. I'm nervous. And so I'm just going to try to, relax and get right to it. I'm really just waiting. Okay, it says that there's a couple folks in here. I can't see y'all. I don't know why. It does that, but I can't see y'all, so I'm just going to assume that you're there because it does say that there's a couple people, so that means Kitty must be one of them. So my clean date is August 21st, 1998. My name is Sharon S. from Cincinnati, and I don't even know where to begin because, there's just always so much more than what meets the eye. And so I was always told to qualify myself for the rooms. And so I'm going to start with that, and I'm going to do my best to carry a clear, clean message of Narcotics Anonymous. And one of the things that I believe in firmly is that we've never seen an addict who lives the Narcotics Anonymous program used. And so relapse is a reality, but it's not a requirement, and it hasn't been part of my story since I came to the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous. So I'm really grateful to, the fellowship and the program that over 21 years later, I haven't seen a reason or found a reason to use drugs since I came to NA. I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio. My parents, I came from a 2-parent household. My father was an alcoholic. My mom was much older. She had me. She wasn't older than him, but she was older when she had me. She had me at 40. So I have 4 other siblings. And my siblings are much older than me. So I was born a whole generation later than my siblings. And so I grew up in a household like an only child. And as a result of the dysfunction that was going on in the household, my father drinking and a lot of arguing and stuff like that, and then not having any siblings, I was very needy, and I always wanted somebody to play with, didn't have nobody to play with. And so before the disease took off in the form of drugs and alcohol, I was obsessed with toys and Barbie dolls, because what my parents did was they gave me material things. They gave me material things to try to make up for the, the dysfunction that was happening in the house. So I was spoiled, as they say, but I didn't have anybody to play with. And so I would invite my neighbors, killing me. I would invite my neighbors, the little girls that live next door. I would invite them over to play with me, and then I would try to bribe them with my toys. Like, I'll give you this Barbie if you don't leave. Stay a little longer. You gonna come back tomorrow? So I developed this defect in my character as a little girl, that I thought I could manipulate and persuade people to be my friend or to be with me if I did something for them. Okay, because I thought I had to do that because I didn't have any other things in my favor. I guess I just didn't, my esteem was low. I was teased by kids when I was little in school, because I had full lips. And so they would call me big lips and soup cooler lips and all that kind of stuff. And so I was taunted by the kids. And then as I went on to junior high and stuff like that, elementary and junior high, I was bused to a predominantly white school, and I was in college prep, and I had above average IQ. So then I went to Walnut Hills. And I thought I was smarter than everybody around me, and I still suffer from that on any given day. Thank you for love from the Philippines. I suffer from that on any given day, thinking that I'm better than or smarter than, or that I can, think circles around you. And so when I went to Walnut Hills, which was a school, for those of you not from this area, it was an elite school for the above average intelligent. Okay. And so got over there with all the, rich white kids, and they did drugs. And so that was when I got introduced to speed and smoking marijuana, and then I thought I was selling it, and I was, I wanted to fit in and all of that, because I had always not fit in. I just never fit in because everybody had friends, everybody had siblings, everybody had cousins. I didn't have any of that. And then my parents were old. I used to always think my mom was going to die. And so started getting high. I still was suffering from this low self-esteem, low self-worth, not feeling, adequate, or like I fit in. I wasn't really light skinned. I wasn't really dark skinned. So I didn't really, gravitate to either one of those identifications as an African American. So I just was kind of lost. And because they had teased me, and then I went to Walnut Hills, and I lived in the hood. So I was going to the smart school on the other side of town for the smart kids, and I lived in the hood, and I caught the bus, and they would tease me on the bus and all of that. So when little boys started paying attention to me and telling me they liked my lips, them with some pretty lips, and all that kind of stuff, and I was sexy and this and that, and I got that attention that I had been seeking, because I was an attention seeker, and I still suffer from that on any given day. I'm flashy, I'm flamboyant. I've just started to embrace it, because it's just part of who I am. But I was attention seeking, and so I started engaging in sex at a really young age. Let me back up. When I was around 5 years old, I was molested by a female who was the babysitter's adopted daughter. And my mom used to drop me off at the babysitter, 5 o'clock in the morning. And so they would put me back to bed, and they would put me in bed with her. And I believe that she had been molested because she was about 13, something like that. So she would fondle me and molest me. And for some reason, I never told anybody. I didn't tell the babysitter. I didn't tell my mama. I didn't tell my daddy. I didn't tell anybody. I just dealt with it. It was very, uncomfortable. It hurt. For some reason, I had convinced myself that I was a willing participant when I wasn't, and so I did not tell anyone, and did not even, wasn't even able to label it as molestation until I worked my fourth step. So it took a long time for me to come to terms with that. And when that molestation happened at a young age, it really, threw off my whole concept about sex and sexuality. So I was confused. And then as a little girl, me and my little cousins and my little girlfriends, we used to have play sex and all of this. And so I was repeating the same action with other little kids, and they was willing participants. And so we was having full blown grown up sexual acts when we spent the night with each other, which was just ridiculous. And so then when the boys came into play, I was ripe and ready. So I was just, any little boy who paid me some attention or made me feel like I was pretty, or, showed me the affection or what have you that I was seeking, I gave them all my goodies. And so then my esteem fell lower, because I knew in my, internally that was not what I really wanted to do. But then once they labeled me a whore, then I'm going to be the best hoe I could be, right? So I did all that. And as I grew up and got older and got to high school and was experimenting with more drugs, trying to fit in. I remember trying cocaine at a really young age, snorting it in my senior year, didn't really get high. I married my high school sweetheart, married at 19, divorced at 21. He was abusive, he was alcoholic, and he was on crack. And I didn't know anything about crack at that time. And I think I smoked a little weed or whatever, and, drank like, what most folks do, and really hadn't tried the cocaine again since high school. And my ex-husband was, full-blown crack addict, and he beat me. He cheated on me. He had a baby while we were married and, with someone else. And so I had a son with him, but I divorced him. And I also, dealt with getting pregnant as a teenager at 14. I got pregnant. I had an abortion. Went to the abortion clinic by myself. Couldn't tell nobody. Caught the bus home. It was a 2-day process. It's horrible, horrific experiences that I went through as a little girl, and I always felt like I could not tell anybody. I had all these secrets. I was living this secret life, and I had these dreams. Before I got ready to share tonight, I was like, well, what is the resounding theme that God had dropped in my spirit about, my life today in recovery? And that is that lost dreams awaken and new possibilities arise. So I always had big dreams, because I told you that, I was considered above average intelligence. So I wanted this big life. I used to dream about being rich and living this extravagant lifestyle and having all these wonderful things. And I lived in a Barbie doll fairy tale land anyway. I was obsessed with Barbie dolls. I used to play with the little Barbie doll whose hair grew out real long, because I loved hair. And I started doing hair as a teenager, and I did all my friends. And I loved, weaving hair. And one of the things that happened to me that really shaped my life was in the 6th grade, my sister gave me a relaxer and my hair fell out. So in the 6th grade, I was bald head, scallywag, ain't got no hair in the back. You know what I'm saying? They was teasing me, bald head, big lips, all that, right? And so when my hair started growing back a little bit, I got a weave. And so once the guy did the weave the first time, I said, oh, I could do this. So I started weaving my own hair, and it made me feel, like some of that had been restored, because when you lose things in life, sometimes you spend, years trying to get it back. Hair and Ben grew back since it fell out, but I always wanted more because I lost mine, right? Just like in the 11th grade, my house caught on fire. So I told you I was raised as the only child. I had 2 bedrooms upstairs. I had 2 bedrooms and a bathroom to myself, and clothes on top of clothes. I was a clothes, I like clothes. I always like clothes. I like stuff. And our house caught on fire, and I lost everything. So none of the rest of the house burnt up but my bedrooms. And so I was just like mad at God. Why me? Why? And I was left with a pair of penny loafers and a house coat. And so that was in 11th grade. That was devastating. So with that, I think I spent the rest of my life and still on any given day trying to rebuild that wardrobe that got burnt up. So I love clothes. I'm a clothes fanatic. I love to shop. I love fashion. I love hair. And it's just part of who I am. And I'm unapologetic about it at this point in my life. But anywho, divorced the first husband, because he was everything that... all the things in his character and personality just, didn't work out. So I thought if I found a husband that was the opposite of the first one, because I still believed in marriage and love, and I was still living this fantasy, and I was still looking for the fairy tale, the dream to come true. So I married another man. He was mentally ill. He beat me. He fought me. He cheated on me. He bit me. He did every manner of abuse, mentally, physically, and emotionally that you can imagine. Okay, so it was devastating. And he did a real number on my mind. He did a mind job on me, and it just took my self-esteem to a lower place. Took my self-esteem to an even lower place than it was going in, right? Because he was jealous of me. I worked at Procter and Gamble. And one of the things that I discovered about myself as I was maturing was that I had the gift for gab. And y'all can probably see that. It ain't going nowhere, but I could talk. And so I talked for a living. And I used to be an operator for the Talkie Yellow Pages. And then I got hired at Procter and Gamble. And I had 6 promotions in 5 years at P&G. I used to work in public relations. I reported directly to a vice president, and I was the voice of Procter and Gamble. So if you called into Procter and Gamble, it was my voice that you got on the answering service. It was me that you had to talk to if you wanted to be in communication with any of the executives in P&G. And so it was a very prestigious position. And my husband at the time was very jealous. He was a garbage man. He worked on a garbage truck, and he was intimidated by my success in corporate America. I was even voted, I had received the Black Achievers Awards, was in the newspaper, was on the news. And, he was like, that ain't nothing, And so he did everything he could to tear down my esteem so that I would feel that I was at my best with him, right? And so eventually the marriage crumbled, and I left. So when I left, I was angry. Because now I'm twice divorced. I'm still a young woman, and I'm twice divorced, and I got another baby because I had one with him. So I got 2 ex-husbands, 2 babies, 2 failed marriages. I've been abused sexually, emotionally, physically, every which way that you can imagine. But I invited a whole bunch of that into my life, right? But I didn't know that then. And so I made a decision. I was going out into the world. I was going to do everything that I had never done, right? Because I was raised in the church. I was a church girl too. Even when on undercover, I was a hoe, but I was a church girl. I was raised in the church, so I was a church girl, but I was doing all this other stuff, without my mom's knowledge. And so I decided I'm gonna get me a dope boy. And I'm going to, do what the other chicks do. And by then, I had left Procter & Gamble, opened my own business, and it was very successful. And that was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back in my second marriage. He was very, very jealous of my success when I changed careers. And so now I'm an entrepreneur. And I'm off the chain. I'm partying 7 days a week. I'm looking for a dope boy. I want me a Negro with some cheddar. I'm going to do whatever it takes. And I wound up getting exactly what my hand called for. So eventually I got turned out on powder cocaine. Was dating a guy, and that was what he did. He turned you out. So he give you more than enough, way more than you could ever use, right? So I thought I was going to sell a little bit of it, but I wound up doing more of it than I sold. So next thing you know, I got a $700 a day habit, and I'm snorting cocaine day and night, day and night, day and night, day and night, can't sleep, all of that. But I'm still like, this the rich man's high. I'm like, Whitney, I don't do crack. Crack is whack. You know what I'm saying? All that. I got a fresh cat suit every week. I'm going to the club. And, eventually I became a liability to him because I did too much dope. So he dropped me. That's when it got ugly. So, it got real ugly real fast, and just like everybody else, I did whatever it took by any means necessary to get one more. One of the worst using experiences I had, I was having sex with a guy that another guy brought into the picture because I sent him to go get the dope. He came back with this nigga, and I wanted some powder. He got some crack, and dude want to have sex, and he got a big old thing of dope. And they say it was the worst when it was the most abundant, right? And so, he he spit in my face and called me all kind of names, and I continued to have sex with him just because the dope was sitting there, and I knew that I could endure that experience if I, when it was all said and done, I was gonna be able to get high, right? And so it wasn't a mystery to me. I was not confused about the fact that I had a drug problem. By the third year of using, I was a full-blown addict, and I was no longer in denial. I remember calling the treatment facility, asking them, what's the process here? Because I think I need some help. And I remember when I first called them, they said, well, you're going to have to check it in and stay and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, nah, I ain't ready to do all that. You know what I'm saying? Because I got a business to run. And I can't take off from work and check into no drug treatment facility, right? So I kept getting high for like another year after I knew that I was an addict. So I was the addict who was, crying on the dope when we get high. I'm the one got the pity party going. I done spoiled everybody else's high because I don't really want to get high no more. I done try every which way I can. I'm only going to do it on the weekend. I'm going to drink instead of snorting. I'm going to smoke some weed. But I always wound up right back with that powder, crawling around on my knees, snorting drywall. You know what I'm saying? Stuck in the bathroom for hours and hours and hours, and, when I was introduced to, recovery, it was an addict that was, a client. She came into the salon, and, she was in recovery, and she was like, how you stay so slim? Because, that was always one of my things, I used it as a diet as well, right? So she's like, how you stay so small? And I'm like, oh, I take diet pills because I did that too, right? And she said, oh, I can't do that. I'm a recovering addict. I'm like, what's that? She was like, well, I used to be hooked on crack. I'm like, crack? So in my mind, if you can stop smoking crack, I know good and well I could put down this powder, right? That's was where I was at, because we differ in levels of sickness and rate of recovery. So don't get it twisted. Everybody didn't come here doing the same thing. My story ain't the same. I ain't dumpster diving, all that. I ain't have sex with no animals and this and that and the other. I did have sex with a guy in a wheelchair, though. I have to tell that, because that's one of the most embarrassing things that I did in recovery. And I had a girl that was with me, and she knew that, and that was like, she used to throw that up at me like, I can't believe you did dude in the wheelchair. I'm like, I can't either, man. But you know what I'm saying? We did whatever we had to do for one more. And so she introduced me to recovery. I went into treatment, and I stayed for a week, came home, and I had to go back to work. I had to go back to my salon where I got high, where I thought didn't nobody know I was getting high. I would go in the bathroom and snort a couple lines, come back, and I'm like Pookie. You know what I'm saying? Hey, what's up? Let's get it. And, I thought that I was doing this thing, on the low. Didn't nobody know what I was doing. So when I went back to work, it was, old people, places, and things was my place of employment, and I wasn't ready to close my shop. So I had to make a decision not to use no matter what. And, when the dope boys would come by to try to, get me started, because that's what they used to do. They come by, bring me some dope for free, but we know it wasn't free, first thing in the morning, right? And then I'm getting high, and I'm working for him for the rest of the day. So I was like, trick no good. I told him, I think that the police watching me. My parents, my people said they got the phone tapped. I don't suggest you call this number no more. You know what I'm saying? So I had to say and do what I needed to do in order to be able to still go back to my place of employment, my business. You know what I'm saying? Everything I had was tied up in that business, because when I quit P&G, I put my whole retirement into that salon. And it almost immediately after I got clean, my lost dreams began to reawaken, and new possibilities were on the rise. I think I might have had maybe 6 months clean, and I wound up on national TV. Ricky Lake, the Ricky Lake show called me because they saw some of my hair in a magazine and wanted me to come on television. And the next thing I know, I had done 17 appearances on national TV. I did 13 appearances on Ricky Lake, 3 times on Jenny Jones, and 1 on the Maury Show. So I'm going back and forth, New York, Chicago. They coming to pick me up. I got valets, I got the butlers and all this, and I'm in limousines. I'm staying in 5-star hotels. They fly me in, and I'm on national TV. So I didn't know nobody else in recovery at that time that was on a celebrity status, and I was on celebrity status. So it was very challenging, to say the least, to find any level of humility, because I didn't have none. I'm the weave master. I'm on national TV. Every time you flick your TV on, I'm the face. You know what I'm saying? And so I got fans. I got people running up to me, chasing me in the airport, little girls crying. People want my autograph. I'm doing hair shows all over the country. And my head is so big, it's just larger than life. So it was very difficult to stay humble. But what I wasn't going to do was use no dope, because what I realized was that the ante goes up. So now, not only would it be Sharon S. getting high, but now it's nationally and internationally known weave master. So I wasn't going to pick up no dope just for the sake of my image as a celebrity stylist. I just refused to get high, right? But still, all those issues, I told you I had some issues and tissues that came with me into recovery. So I came in to the rooms with all those issues, and before I had a chance to address them, now I'm a superstar. So, I'm faced with the same dilemma that I was faced with as a little girl, right? Don't nobody like me. Don't nobody like me. And I'm like, they don't like me. And like, why come they don't like me? But I'm in their face, with no humility. I'm in the meeting like, oh yeah, Ricky Lake called me again, and I'm about to fly back out to New York, and I'll be on TV. Y'all tune in at 9 o'clock and make sure you see me, right? So now looking back, I see why didn't nobody like me, because my head was so big. But at the same time, there were people that loved me, right? And so what I learned, and I'm still learning and still doing, is I embrace the people that embrace me, right? And in I had to get in touch with the identification. You see what I'm saying? Because my life wasn't, I didn't get high with nobody that I was in the rooms with. Nobody. I didn't get high with nobody that was in the rooms with me. Nobody. Ain't no them. I came in NA and I just sat down and I grabbed me a seat and I made a decision that I wasn't going to use no matter what, for one day at a time for the rest of my life. And I tattooed it on my arm. 8/21/98, rest in peace. That's for the old me. So no resurrection going on here, right? And I spent a lot of time looking for love and settling for sex. Got 13 steps, one time too many up in the rooms, because I was still on the hunt, still, wasn't okay with me, still looking for somebody to, fill a void that only God can fill. And I remember going in that vicious cycle for a long time until I finally got to that fourth step and was able to uncover a lot of the stuff that happened back then that was still the motivating factor for a lot of my actions. Those abandonment issues, those low self-esteem issues, those lies, the lies that was told to me, the lies that I told. And when I came to an understanding that, I no longer had to continue to react based on those old, that old value system, then I was able to make some different decisions. I decided, that because I used to think, wasn't no good men. I used to be like, ain't no good men. They all good for nothing. They ain't got nothing. They all got their hand out. They think I'm rich because they see me on TV and all they want is money, right? But I tried to make me a few men too. And I tried to buy me a few men. So I was the problem. They wasn't the problem. You see what I'm saying? I'd get a man and try to fix him up, clean him up, dress him up, because I was doing the same thing that I did when I was a little girl, trying to buy your affection and try to buy your attention and try to manipulate you to feel beholden and obligated to stay and be with me, right? So that got old. You know what I'm saying? That got old. As I got older, that just got old. I was like, you know what? I ain't getting ready to give another Negro man my money no more. This is over. And as I began to recover through working the steps, because the steps, this is a 12-step program. So, if you're going to be in a 12-step program, you need to work the steps. The steps is what changed my life. The steps are what's still changing my life. Learning how to incorporate the spiritual principles of Narcotics Anonymous comes through working the steps, okay? And so as I began to work the steps and I began to understand who I was and what framed my personality, and then I was able to have a complete personality change, because that's what the literature said that we need, a complete personality change. So I began to change. And thank God this is a spiritual and not religious program, because I told y'all I grew up in church. And I grew up in a Pentecostal church with the long dresses and no makeup and no earrings and all of that. And I was very rebellious. And the dogma of that denomination had haunted me. I felt like I had fallen so short of the things that I was taught in church, and I didn't want to be nowhere near church. I thought I could hide from God, and I was going to hide in NA and get my life together. But at some point, I developed a new relationship with the God of my understanding, and he was loving and caring and forgiving, and he forgave me of my sinful ways that the church would not have. And so I began to develop a relationship with the God of my understanding that was new and different from the one that I had growing up, okay? And as this relationship with God is growing, this relationship with self is growing, this relationship with the program is growing, I stopped settling. And I made a decision that, the man was going to have some criteria. He was going to have a job, a car, and a crib, or at least 2 out of 3. If he had 2 out of 3, I might be able to work with him, right? But I had also decided I wasn't going to look for him no more, because I was tired. I done searched the world over, and it seemed like it wasn't nobody for me. And after 2 failed marriages, I began to say, you know what, God, if I'll never have another man, you are enough for me. I'm going to be okay with loving on and being in relationship with the God of my understanding. So I started to conduct myself that way, like I already had a man. I started to change the way I walked and to change the way I looked, because see, I came from a place where less was more, right? So every asset that I thought that I had, right, booze, whatever, legs, it was all out there. I laid it all out, because that's what I thought I had, and like the Barbie dolls, you know what I'm saying? Anything that I can get to draw you into my life, because I had those abandonment issues and those low self-esteem, and don't nobody want to be my friend. So I'm going to lay it all out. And so once I became in relationship with the God of my understanding, I decided that that wasn't how I wanted to conduct myself anymore. I didn't want to dress that way because I had a man. I didn't want to walk that way because I had a man, because God was now my man. And I began to do things with my man, like go to the movies by myself, me and God, and go to dinner and enjoy the company of myself, okay, which I still love the company of myself. But at that point, I think I became more attractive, okay? So I was no longer using my physical attributes to try to snag me a man, but my attractiveness began to show from the inside out. And then I started to believe that I was beautiful, that I was pretty, that I was, lovely, that I was fearfully and wonderfully made, right? That I was, I could start to have some self-acceptance. Like, you ain't ugly. You still believe what them little boys, the little kids that was teasing you said. Now they want these lips, right? They getting injections in their lips to have lips like these, but they were soup coolers when I was a little girl. And then I met my current husband, who is the love of my life. And, he chased me. He pursued me. He wanted me. Matter of fact, he tell me all the time, if I had to pursue him, he probably would have lost interest. And so, I found that, when a man found a wife, he found a good thing. So I didn't chase him. I didn't pursue him. He found me. And lost dreams in my life have awakened. I'm still in the hair business, 25 years strong. I've owned my own business. My husband and I became ministers, opened our own church. We pastored a church in our local city for years, and then we became foreign missionaries. We built a church in the Dominican Republic, which we still oversee, and there's a total of 10 churches under our oversight in the Dominican Republic. We fell in love with, mission work and service work. See, Narcotics Anonymous taught me service work, get outside of yourself. And so as longer I stayed here, that service expanded outside of the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous. So, we got into feeding the poor and clothing the poor and so forth and so on. And I believe you reap what you sow, right? And so God seen fit to begin to bestow a lot of blessings on our life and our marriage. I'm talking about lost dreams awaken and new possibilities arising. I remember when we met, he told me he wanted to build me a house. And, he wanted me to have a house that nobody lived in. See, this was the first time I had been in a relationship with a man who wanted to be the provider, who wanted to take care of me, who expressed to me on a regular basis that I was his queen, he was my king, and he wanted to take care of his queen. He wanted me to have the best of everything. And I had never experienced that before. And I knew that was part of how I knew that he was the one, right? Because our marriage was a great risk. But I believe there's only 3 things that bring about impactful change in your life. It's the books you read, the place you go, and the risks you take. And see, those risks are leaps of faith. And so my husband and I took a leap of faith when he had 5 months clean. I had 5 years clean. And I consulted with the God of my understanding. See, we want other people to be able to give us the answer so we can blame them when it don't work out, right? But thank God, by 5 years in the recovery, I had developed a relationship with the God of my understanding, who told me that he was my husband. And so I had enough faith and courage to follow that and go down the aisle in matrimony. My husband married me on the beach of Jamaica, my favorite place. He said if I loved any place that much, he wanted to be where I wanted to be. So I wanted to be in Jamaica. We got married in Jamaica on the white sandy beach. I had a dream, fairy tale wedding by the sea. You know what I'm saying? Something that only I saw on TV, and it happened for me. And it wasn't like the second marriage where I was holding my breath, hoping that he wasn't going to change his mind halfway down the aisle. I'm talking about I'm marrying the man that loved me unconditionally, no matter what, and wanted me. You know what I'm saying? He wanted me. And so we had this wonderful marriage, and yeah, we had a blended family. We had children. I had children. You know what I'm saying? He had a son. I had 2 kids. Now we got grandkids, and we raising one of them, and he's gotten promotion after promotion on his job. We've worked together as a team, and the most beautiful part of it, as far as the recovery piece, is by me having 5 years and him having 5 months when we got married, I had to allow him his process. I couldn't give him my recovery. I couldn't make him be where I was at. I had to let go and let God. I had to give it to God and trust that the God of my understanding, who told me that he was my husband, was going to be the same God that was going to show him how to stay clean so that we can have the life that we dreamed of. I'm talking about life, lost dreams awaken and new possibilities arise, right? And so not only did he build me the house, and then we built a church, and we have a ministry, but we have a love. You know what I'm saying? We have a love that has been a light. You know what I'm saying? Because love is light. And we have a love that's been a light, and we let it shine. You know what I'm saying? And everybody ain't always going to be happy. But like I told y'all before, I've learned to gravitate to the people that gravitate to me. So it's some people that have told me how much our marriage has blessed them. And so I hope that it continues to do so. We have ups and we have downs, but what we don't do is divide. You know what I'm saying? We stay on the same team. And so sponsorship has been a very, very key ingredient and element to my recovery. I've always had a sponsor in Narcotics Anonymous, and I have a sponsor today that is very, very intricate. I'm talking about show up at your door. You know what I'm saying? I can call her whatever time, toe out the frame or whatever, but guess what she gonna do? She gonna keep the focus on me, and she gonna remind me that the problem ends with me and begins with me. And so that's what I've gotten out of sponsorship, and that's what I try to give back. And because if we can't take responsibility for our own actions, how are we going to ever grow? See, the thing is, I'm always at the root of the issue. So if I get better, everything around me gets better. So as my husband recovers, our marriage gets better. As I recover, our marriage gets better. So we've been married now 15 years of happy matrimony. Never been separated. You know what I'm saying? And I'm flabbergasted. I'm blown away at He been good to me. I'm talking about the God of my understanding has been good to me. They said if we, tried to put a limitation or whatever or expectation on recovery, that it would be superseded. And recovery has superseded any expectation I could have ever put on it. I used to be a liar, couldn't tell the truth for nothing. And they told me honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness were imperative to my recovery process. And somehow through the steps, I learned how to tell the truth. I learned how to be faithful. I used to have to think that I had to have a backup for the backup. And so I had never been in a monogamous relationship until my marriage. I've never cheated on my husband. He's never cheated on me. I never thought that a love like this could exist. I didn't know that you could actually have a happy marriage. I'm so grateful. I'm grateful to be married to somebody who ain't jealous of me. I'm grateful to be married to somebody who allowed me to be just who I am. I still love a lot of attention. I still love to be the center of attention. I still, love the limelight. I still love Hollywood. That's why I go there every chance I get. I still want to be on TV again. I still got a dream that I'm going back on television. That dream ain't gone. It's still a dream that can happen. Because guess what? If he put me on national TV 17 times, he can do it again. Because I serve a God that is a God of redemption, recovery, getting back those things that were lost. See, I had a dream when I was a little girl going to Walnut Hills that I was going to be rich and famous and I was going to have this wonderful life. And then I got in recovery and God started giving me those dreams back. And it's not all material, but I done had some material blessings as well. But the peace of not having to worry about how I'm going to get another one. Learning how to come out of guilt and shame for neglecting my kids and all of that, and being able to say, you know what? It's almost 22 years later, baby. You're going to have to get with that because I done got with it through the steps. Recovery works. This is an awesome program. I don't know. I've been talking for a minute. This is an awesome program. You know, man, I'm going to keep coming back. I'm going to go on and share it because it was significant to me. You know, they say anything that's helping or hindering your recovery is material for sharing. And I used to try to dim my light because when I came into recovery, God restored so many things in my life that a lot of people couldn't handle it. They couldn't handle it. When I was on TV, they couldn't handle it. So I used to try to dim my light. But it's over for dimming my light, man. If you can't stand the light, you better put on your shades. Because I'm going to shine. I'm going to shine, baby. I'm going to shine. As long as my God got breath in my body, I'm going to let this light shine. Whew, it's my turn. They said we all get a turn, man. I buried my mama, my mother-in-law, my father-in-law, all in recovery, but I ain't never found a reason to use. One of my best friends was murdered because he relapsed. I had to bury him. I ain't used. Don't use no matter what. Some people use when it's good, and there's been some good times. I'd have been around the world. I'd have been all kind of places I never imagined or dreamed I would be. I'd have been to multiple countries. I'd have been on yachts. I'd have been in 5-star hotels. Oh my God, I'd have been in limousines. I'd have been everywhere in recovery. I'm talking about this thing works. And the other day, I went to the car lot. I said, you know what? I told the God of my understanding, I said, God, if you see fit to give me one of the desires of my heart, I'm going to give you the glory. I'm talking about me talking to the God of my understanding. If you don't have a relationship with the God of your understanding, that's okay. You can get one in this process. But at almost 22 years later, I do have one, right? And I was talking to him about this thing that I wanted. But this is what I done learned in recovery. You can get some stuff, but can you keep it? Can you keep it? Can you do what's necessary to keep it after you get it? So I told the God of my understanding, I said, I don't want it if it's not my time. I don't want no premature blessing. I don't want nothing I'm going to have to turn around and give back. I don't want it like that, God. I only want it if it's your will. I'm talking about the third step, turning your life and your will over to the God of your understanding and trusting and believing that what he got for you is for you. So that's what I said to him when I was test driving that Bentley. I said, if they say no, I say, okay, Lord, thank you, because I still got a Mercedes and I'm grateful, right? But he said, you can have it, daughter. He said, you can have it. And I'm trying to tell you today, lost dreams awaken, man. New possibilities arise. I drove off that lot with a brand new Bentley drop top GT Continental convertible. Baby, that's a dream. That's a dream. I thought the house was the dream. I thought the man and all of the money and all the trips, I thought that it couldn't get no better. It couldn't be no more. I done already used up all my dreams. But he said, the best is yet to come. Man, listen. You know what happened for me? That just increased my faith that anything's possible. The little girl from Denham Street in the hood with the big lips that was fast. Have anything you want. It works if you work it. Recovery works. Recovery works. My name is Sharon S., and I'm a grateful recovering addict. Thanks for letting me share.